Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This video we will be covering my theories for fraud. Violence being possibly the best current layer in ultrakill, Hakita has big shoes to fill with fraud. We saw a sneak peek at the first level a few months ago and it already looks amazing, but this makes me curious on how the rest of this level and the next levels will play out. I believe fraud will follow semi-closely to the description of the Circle of Hell in Dante's Inferno. In Dante's Inferno there are 10 bulgia of fraud, which basically just means ditch or pouch in the land. And I believe that the whole layer will revolve around getting deeper into the tunnel of suburban houses that we saw in the teaser for Heartbreak Wonderland, with each level being a mix of 2 bulgia from Dante's Inferno, two or one. This obviously means not all the bulgia will be included, so now we will go over the ones that I think will be included. Keep in mind, I don't think the looks of the bulgia will be included, just other aspects. The theme of modern housing will likely continue. 8-1 Panderers and Seducers / Simoniacs. The first bulgia of fraud in Dante's Inferno is all about panderers and seducers, who are eternally damned to walk in opposite ways in 2 separate ways while being whipped. At first this may not seem like it correlates to the teaser for Heartbreak Wonderland at all, but if we study it we can see that it includes many long hallways that seem to span forever, thus where the sinners may walk. Now for Simoniacs. I don't think nearly as many attributes of this are going to factor into the level, except for a few select things. Simony is just the act of using what belongs to God for money, which in Dante's Inferno, 3 popes are accused of and tormented, which could be a cool 3-way boss fight at the end of this level, but that is less likely. As for the new enemy, I don't think it plays any role in fraud, but rather signifying that heaven is getting more and more desperate to kill V1. 8-2 Barraters. The Barraters bulgia is for corrupt politicians who more or less abuse this power. It is a large lake of boiling pitch, with devils called malabranche, excuse me if I pronounced that wrong, ripping apart the sinners if they were found above the pitch. I believe in 8-2 the malabranche will be a new enemy, perhaps a flying lesser demon that comes in swarms with a diving attack that could be parried. They can also maybe throw their spears. The office theme we have seen in 8-2 is interesting, but we also saw a lot of gravity manipulation, which could play into how the malabranche function. The theme for 8-2 is interesting as well. 8-3 Counselors of Fraud. In Diablo's Inferno, this lair punishes people by engulfing them in flames, hiding them behind a wall of fire. I believe this could be a sort of maze-like level with a lot of twists and turns and misleading areas revolving around the fire which can hide certain parts. 8-4 Falsifiers and Sowers of Discord. In Dante's Inferno, falsifiers are punished via insanely brutal disease, stripping them of what little humanity they once had, with some even running around as crazed beasts, attempting to rip others to shreds. Combine this with Sowers of Discord, who are punished by being mutilated and cut apart gruesomely by a large demon with a huge sword, and it could form an ultra-violent level. For the final boss, there's 2 choices in my eyes. 1, the large sword-wielding demon. It could be a huge boss with heavy hitting attacks. It could also likely summon mannequins representing the sinners it has mutilated. 2, Gabriel. I don't think Gabriel will be the final boss of ultrakill, so he might be here, but it's more likely he will be in the first treachery level. Now for P-3. It might seem strange to cover P-3 in a video about fraud, but there is a reason. The big question for P-3 is who the Prime Soul is going to be, and to figure this out we need to look at the previous 2. Minos, the first Prime Soul, who we saw a painting of in many lore books of in Lust, as in Dante's Inferno Minos appears in the Lust Circle of Hell. The second Prime Soul, Sisyphus, we also see a lot of lore behind in Greed, but there's a difference here. He never appeared in Dante's Inferno, but in the Greek myth of Sisyphus he was a greedy king. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Both of the previous Prime Souls were mentioned in layers of their respective act, and because we didn't see anything about someone in violence, the answer must lay in fraud. And because there's no interesting characters in the Dante's Inferno's fraud, we have to look at people who committed fraud in their tales. This, in my mind, narrows down to two potential prime souls. 1. Cassius and Brutus Prime. Cassius and Brutus were directly responsible for the murder of King Caesar, backstabbing him with trickery, a key aspect of fraud. This would be a two-enemy boss fight, with Cassius most likely being more range-focused, and Brutus being more in your face. And perhaps if you kill one, the other goes into a deadly second phase. The other option, and what I hope happens, is Judas Prime. As you most likely know, in the Bible, Judas betrayed Jesus for money, which directly resulted in his death. This would be an awesome prime soul, as the community has made many fandubs for him, which I believe he could follow similar to those, dying in regret and begging for forgiveness, which cannot come.
First, this video was just going to be about fraud, but seeing as that would be too short of a video, I did some light research on treachery in Dante's Inferno, and now have some predictions. But these are slightly less predictions and more just what I hope happens, because this would be cool as hell. This also helped me come up with an even better theory on P-3, so just watch a little longer and it'll be worth it. In Dante's Inferno, treachery is described as being a frozen lake, with people being submerged under the ice in horrific forms, being divided into 4 rings, or rounds. I believe that the first level of treachery is going to be a long boss rush level, mixed with some hard enemy gauntlets, with 4 bosses. 1. Cana. In Dante's Inferno, the first round of treachery is for those who betrayed their kin. It was named after Cain. In biblical history, Cain was one of the first children of Adam and Eve, the other being his brother. They both made offerings to God, but God only appreciated the offer Cain's brother made. So Cain killed his brother, and then was sentenced to treachery. He had his neck and head above the frozen lake, so he could bow, but the rest is submerged under the ice. I believe Cain could give a quick speech about how God betrayed him before trying to kill V1. 2. Anantora. In Dante's Inferno, the second round of treachery is named after Anantor, who was a Trojan soldier who betrayed his city for the Greeks. Sinners in this lair only have their head poking out, so they cannot even bow their heads as their neck is frozen. Anantor could be the boss here. I imagine he could be a heavily armored boss. Maybe you can even break off pieces of his armor with a knuckle blaster or jackhammer. 3. Plotomy. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This round is named after Plotomy, who invited his father-in-law and all his sons over for a banquet before killing them all. This could be a very fast, aggressive boss that could act sorta insane and laugh in your face. Round 4. Judica. In Dante's Inferno, round 4 of treachery is named after Judas. See what I'm getting at here? I believe we will get a lot of lore for Judas, and maybe a secret door that is meant to be the vault of where he is kept. But it is seen that he is missing from said vault. You can then go on to fight the last boss, and the rest of treachery I think can play out in 3 ways. 1. You fight Gabriel in 9-1, then go and destroy hell itself, and that's the end. Boring. 2. You fight Gabriel in 9-1, but you don't kill him. He realizes he cannot win against you, and joins you in his last hours of life to help destroy hell. Then you and him destroy hell in 9-2. 3. You actually fight Gabe in 9-2, but it's not the end. You send down to hell's core with him, where you find the devil, but keep in mind that this is not Lucifer, like portrayed in the Bible. As Akita said, you will never fight Lucifer, but his existence is canon, so there's a chance that after slaying the devil or hell itself, Lucifer appears, Gabe dies, and Lucifer goes to destroy heaven, where you can then join him, creating an epilogue lair where you will go through heaven, occasionally seeing Lucifer as the kingdoms of heaven get torn to shreds, which is, in my opinion, the best out of the outcomes. That is it for my treachery predictions, but there's one more thing I want to include. Keep in mind that this is probably not going to happen, but it would be so cool if it did. Encore levels. I believe that Gluttony Encore level and Heresy will include bits and pieces from the Prime Sanctums. And if my main theory for the end of treachery is true, then at some point you go to heaven again. And if the theory is that Encore levels are V1 going back after destruction is true, then in the ruins of heaven we might fight and kill God himself. Anyways, I think that's it for my predictions video. Hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe. We're more than halfway to 100. It'd be pretty cool if you subbed.